welcome to another InventRight TV show. We have Mr. Stephen Key, our co-founder, on the line. I co-founded the business along with him 20 years ago. And we have our resident expert, our LinkedIn for licensing expert, Benjamin Harrison, back to share some LinkedIn tips so you guys can get into companies. Did I say that right? Should I say it again? Okay.
You guys.
So what topic on LinkedIn for licensing are we going to be talking about today, Benjamin?
Well, first of all, we're going to do a whole series on that, and we're going to break it down. But I want to talk about the profile first, your personal sell sheet. I don't think you can talk enough about that because people are going to qualify you. Is that correct? Once you reach out to someone, a company, because they want to make sure they can bring you into their world, they want to make sure if you're asking for something, they can send you off to somebody. So they're really kind of qualifying you to make sure you're not that crazy lunatic person they think you might be. Is that true?
That's 100% true. And that's exactly what I would do. I'm not just going to accept a message from anybody and then send them off to you, Stephen. So I totally get that process, and that qualification process is something that happens really quick too.
And I've got a great tip. So you guys need to go down to your kitchen, get the tinfoil out, make a hat, put it on there, make it look good, and take your profile picture and you're set.
I might do that on the next YouTube video we do, Andrew, just to prove you wrong. So, okay, Benjamin, I had someone reached out to me, and she wasn't getting a response back. Right? She's got on LinkedIn, and she was reaching out to potential licensees, companies that are looking for ideas from inventors, and she wasn't getting any traction. So I've been listening to you for a while now and all your tips, and this is the tips I gave her, and she says it's worked. And I don't know if I was just lucky, but because I want to run it by you. I looked at her profile picture, and number one, she was in the world of makeup and hairdressing and style. She was a stylist. I guess that's a better word of putting it. And she was a stylist in a pretty big world, kind of. I mean, it wasn't just something that was kind of hidden. She was a stylist for a huge company, that entertainment company. I don't want to name what it is because she's watching this. And she said to me, Steve, I need some help. So I looked at it, and I did exactly what you told me. Look at the picture of the person first and see what that picture looks like. And what I noticed that since she's in a stylish, I mean, that's her profession, she wasn't really styled up herself. So I said, look, I think that if that's your profession, you could probably turn it up a notch. And that was really kind of a simple thing. That wasn't hard for me. And it was a little bit blurry too. The shot wasn't real clear, right? So I said, took your advice, get a cell phone out, take a number of pictures where you're really feeling good about yourself, and find that one that you really represents you. Okay. And then I told her, take the background. You know that background in the back? Some people have it kind of just generic, like the one they give you. That to me is a billboard of saying maybe a little bit about yourself. A visual. I'm a visual guy.
You're talking about the background on the whole header, Stephen, for your profile? Yeah.
Yeah, to me, that's like one of those little things that says a lot, but you're not really saying anything at the very, it speaks for you, right? And it's one of those really subtle things. So I said, you're in the entertainment world, so why don't you use a photograph of one of those entertainment events? And she was like, oh. And so she did it. And I said, don't put, and she had a different tagline, because I think that tagline is really important, right? I guess it's about who you are. It's kind of like your one-line benefit statement, kind of what you do. So she changed it up. And when I saw it, I was like, it was intriguing. It took from being kind of like, didn't really notice who you are to, hey, this is someone I want to know. And she started getting responses. Was that a good evaluation? Because I've listened to you long enough those are easy things. Was I on track with that? Because I think it.
You were on track. I think that's the only reason he's asking is he's just bragging.
It's a leading question.
But
Your
I'm
Honor,
not an expert at it. I don't know what else I could have told her.
Oh, that was great advice. That was great advice, and you really do want to meet people at the level that they're at professionally. If you notice in your industry that you're in or that you're pitching in, that people have a certain level of refined, a certain level of finish to their account, you want to try to meet them where they're at. And as far as the background images go, you wouldn't think that something like that is important. You think, hey, this is a professional site. Nobody really cares if you have a background image or not. But it's just not the case. It's one of those things that is important as you're finishing your account out to have everything filled out, have all the options in your profile filled out with something to show that you've completed it, if nothing else. And the background image is something that people will actually determine a user's activity level or how often or how savvy they are on LinkedIn as they're scrolling through a bunch of profiles just by seeing who has a background picture and who doesn't. You can see that now. You couldn't used to. So by not having your account filled out and by not having something as easy as a background image up, it says a lot about your account. So it seems like you killed it with that advice. And it's crazy to me how these little changes can make huge differences in your response rate out of people. I've seen it myself whenever I turn my own account around. It's crazy. The right picture can double your response rate overnight. So pay attention to the details.
No, I think you're right. And it's interesting about that. The background to me, since she was in such a high profile industry, it was just like, why not? And I believe she asked for permission to change her title up. So she did the right thing there. But it really changed the way I perceived her even. Isn't that kind of crazy?
What do you mean ask for permission to change your title? I don't understand that, Stephen. What do you mean?
Well, she worked for this company. The way she kind of described herself sounded, it sounded a little, I don't know. I thought she could find different words to describe it, and she did that as well. I'm a visual person too, okay? Because I'm a lot like all these other creative people out there. I know Andrew is, and you are too. I like the little details. It shows that someone cared enough, right? And it's those little details that maybe you don't see it right off in the very beginning, but it kind of adds up to the total picture, right? And also, let's talk about the subject line of the description. Now, I use my LinkedIn a little bit differently. I use my LinkedIn to reach out to other people I want to interview, right? People I'm curious about, so I can share those experiences. So I lead with Forbes, right? And that has enough credibility to get people to pay attention. That's how I use that. Is there any other tips about what that should be? Because I think, should I say crazy inventor? I shouldn't say that. Should I say I'm going to be a pain in your rear end? I shouldn't say that. Should I say product developer? I mean, what should I say? I guess it all depends on what your goals are.
Sure. So I have an opinion on that, but I'd actually like to ask you a question before I offer that opinion. And that's, did you notice any change whenever you added Forbes to your headline where people would respond differently to you because you had added something? Completely
changed. Because now they see me as the media, and they see that they have access to someone in the media. So right away, the number of people that want to connect with me just went up. And
one little simple change like that, and you have it at the beginning of your headline too, because that's what people see first, and it doesn't ever get cut off, right?
So that's important, yeah.
So what I tell people to do is we're all here to get our ideas into companies that participate in open innovation, and we want them to license our ideas, right? So my headline is Open Innovation Product Developer. And the reason it says that is whenever I go and message a connection that I've made, whenever I reach out to someone, I'm going to be reaching out to them about who it is in their company that I need to submit my marketing material to, my open innovation submission. Where's that going? And so whenever they see that in the text that I'm sending them, they see open innovation, and then they see open innovation product developer in my headline, it builds a consistency that makes sense in their head of, oh, of course that's what he would be doing. That's what he does. So from my perspective, that's unless you have a Forbes mic drop that you get to put there for everybody, that's the best thing that you can do, because that consistency builds trust, in my opinion. It makes it easier to say yes and easier to respond.
Thank you. Now, Andrew, you do it a little bit differently because you're there, you're reaching out to students, you're helping them along the way, you're making those connections. So yours is a little bit different. What does yours say?
Mine just says InventRight co-founder and IGA co-founder, Inventor Groups of America co-founder. So
Okay.
that's what mine says. But I think Benjamin's right. I don't want to give you guys the impression you guys need to write for Forbes to get into companies. That's just what Steven was doing, so he can get a hold of these high-level people to interview them and stuff. But I think Benjamin's approach is perfectly fine for all you guys trying to license products. You don't need to have licensed a single product. You don't need to be somebody like this incredibly, but you will come across as somebody. Oh, this, like Benjamin said. Oh, this is what they do. You know, and that's I love that. So anybody.
I
can
think
get on
that's why
LinkedIn.
Steven's example is important, is because that's his purpose. It makes sense for
That's
him
his
to be
goal,
reaching out to them because of that, right?
Yeah.
So it's easier to put two and two together really quick and go, oh, okay, that's what this is about.
Yeah, because that's what I lead with when I reach out to someone. If it's some type of a person I want to interview, maybe for an article, maybe for a YouTube channel or something, I want to know. I lead with that. So you're right. It's very my messaging is very consistent. I think that's what we want to say.
guys don't
That's
have to use
very
it.
important in building trust.
Hey, and so Benjamin used Open Innovation Product Developer.
Yep.
Is that, not everybody has to use that one, but that one works. So if
Well,
people
you know
want
why I
to steal
like that
one,
one
they're
too?
welcome to use it.
You know why I like that too? The open innovation is becoming more and more popular, and people know what that word is. And if you don't, you're intrigued by it.
It sounds professional.
You're right. You're right. I think that has a lot to do with it too. Is you almost want to know more. If you don't know what open innovation is, it's one of those terms. It's like, hey, I kind of like the sounds of that, right?
All right, we got to wrap it up, guys.
All right.
So we're going to be doing more in this series with our resident LinkedIn for licensing expert, Benjamin Harrison. Thank you, Steven. You had a lot to contribute as well on this recording. So take care, everybody. Keep inventing. We'll catch up with you next time. See ya. Bye.
See ya.